Hello, it's David Allen and you are watching Sporting Icons.
Now, I've been seeing quite a few comments ever since Deontay Wilder says that if he doesn't get this third fight with Tyson Fury, he's going to sue Tyson Fury. He's going to send in his legal representatives, take legal action against Tyson Fury for breach of contract, etc., etc., even though the contract has expired. Madness. Now, I've already done a video on that one, so go check that one out. Now, here's the thing. A lot of you guys have been saying, well, why is it that, first and foremost, why is it that Wilder is only looking to sue Tyson Fury over a breach of contract, even though he can't because the contract has expired? But why is it that if he truly believes in the glove gate, the spiked water, and this, that, and the other, why is it that he's not suing Tyson Fury? Why is it that he's not suing Bob Arum, Frank Warren, the Nevada State Athletic Commission, the referee, his former trainer, Mark Breland? Why is he not suing any of these people? Why is that? Because he knows. He's just making up excuses. And there's enough morons out there who will believe the perpetual BS that it is that he comes out with. I've never known a boxer in the history of sport to come out with so many excuses. I've never known it. Not just his Fury one, but he also seems to have an excuse after each and every fight, how he couldn't train because he broke his hand. And yet he fixed a major surgery, according to Wilder, and it fully recovered within a 6-week period. How's that possible without steroids? Now, many of you guys said, well, maybe with all the things that Wilder has been saying about Tyson Fury, maybe it's time Tyson Fury sued him for defamation of character. Because some of the things that he's saying about Tyson Fury is accusing him of criminal activity. It's not just the fact that he's going in on Tyson Fury as a person, as a fighter, or anything like that, saying, you know, I don't like him, I think he's an idiot, blah, blah, blah. It's not that he's saying that. It's that he's saying things that Tyson Fury would have got into the ring trying to kill him. Bringing the sport into disrepute. So maybe Tyson Fury needs to counter-sue Deontay Wilder. And maybe that could well happen. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when I spoke to Bob Arum during lockdown there, when all these conspiracies were first coming out by all the fanatical Wilder fans, and I do say fans loosely, I don't think they are fans, they're just spewing certain narratives for views, but where did all these conspiracies come from? Do you think that they just made it up and then Wilder heard them one day and went, oh yeah, that sounds pretty good, I'm going to run with that narrative? No, for me, Wilder told them to say all this because they're sheep, because they're easily manipulated. Of course, Wilder, we'll do anything you want. Can we have an exclusive when you're ready to come out? Please, champ, bomb squad. So Bob Arum was saying that he doesn't believe in any of it, and he didn't believe that Deontay Wilder would believe any of this too. Well, Wilder does believe it, Bob. He does believe it. So maybe, yes, Tyson Fury needs to sue Deontay Wilder. I don't know if he will. I have no idea if he will. But I think he should if Wilder keeps on saying these kind of things and cannot back up any of his claims. I don't personally believe he can back any of them up. What, a little dent in the head? Maybe that dent's always been there. You didn't feel very well before the fight, so therefore your water must have been spiked, even though you passed Wilder. Maybe Wilder was scared. Maybe the occasion got to him. Maybe. There's lots of maybes. Lots of things that would point as a maybe rather than it was definitely the water being spiked. You see? So I understand when people say Tyson Fury, he should get hold of his legal representatives, whether it be through Bob Arum, of course, he's a former lawyer. Frank Warren, we know Frank Warren has sued many people, so he's no stranger to that. MTK, of course, they have their own legal team and everything as well, could go after Deontay Wilder. Now, should he do that? Maybe, potentially. But again, it depends on how Tyson Fury feels. Because I'm pretty sure Tyson Fury would look at this and go, well, there's not really enough people who will believe it. Enough people who are hearing this about Wilder don't believe it. And Wilder is embarrassing himself. He's digging his own hole and he's climbing further and further in it. Because it's one thing to be on the receiving end of the biggest beating in a world heavyweight title fight that any man has ever received, and then have the towel come in. It's one thing to go through all that embarrassment. It's another thing to come out with excuse after excuse after excuse. And not just excuses like, well, I didn't really train too much because I had a bad back, or I twisted my ankle so I couldn't do too much running, or I injured my arm when I was doing a bit of sparring, or I was lifting some weights, I pulled a muscle. It's one thing to come out of that, but to say that Tyson Fury had an egg weight in his glove, to say that the water was spiked, to say the costume was too heavy, to say that the referee was against Deontay Wilder, even though anybody who watched that fight, even live, were going, this referee seems very pro-Wilder on this one, doesn't he? Even knocked a point off Tyson Fury. But yet, apparently that referee was biased towards Fury. It's unbelievable, right? Because this referee, he had a look about his eyes like, I'm going to get you. Well, no, that's just how he looks. You know what I mean? He's always looked that way. He can't help it. He just happens to have big eyes. Hey, what do you do about it? But the excuses are ridiculous. And what makes it worse as well, I said, I don't watch any of these channels, so I don't know word for word what it is that they're saying. But of course, I have watched some other channels who I'm subscribed to, who have been responding to some of these channels, where apparently that they're going in on Vasyl Lomachenko fans for making up excuses. Oh, well, Vasyl Lomachenko, he had an injured shoulder or whatever it was, and he's putting out pictures of him in hospital. It's all excuses. The Vasyl Lomachenko fans are ridiculous, blah, 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 blah. Well, they're not saying anything even close to what you lot are saying. Are they? They're not. The Pacquiao fans. Didn't Pacquiao have an injured shoulder? Or he said they had an injured shoulder when he fought Floyd Mayweather. Okay, that's pretty much the only thing that they went with. They didn't come out with, well, Manny Pacquiao, he had spiked water, his ring walk took too long, or the food wasn't right, he was poisoned, or, you know what I mean? They never come out with any of that. You guys are probably the worst conspiracy theorist fan base in boxing. The Deontay Wilder fan base, I've never seen anything like it. A lot of the top fighters have fanatical fans, but nobody's ever been as extreme as these guys. So when it comes down to Tyson Fury suing them, is it worth it? Probably not, because I said not a lot of people believe it. You'd have to be a moron to believe the things that Wilder is saying. You have to be a moron to believe that Tyson Fury can get his hands wrapped in the changing room with officials from the Nevada State Athletic Commission there, with representatives of the WBC there, with JD's, who's Deontay Wilder's manager and trainer, there to oversee the hands being wrapped of Tyson Fury, to have the gloves put on the hands of Tyson Fury, to see where the laces are get wrapped up, taped up, and then signed off. Signed off because it means you can't tamper with that tape, because if you do, then there's going to be a discrepancy with the signing, isn't there? And somehow managed to squeeze an excise object down the wrist without tearing the wraps that's on his hands, without tearing the tape around the gloves, thinking that these professional gloves have some kind of elastic in them where they can stretch enough for him to put this egg weight down into the palm of his hand. Some of them believe it's actually on his knuckle. Can you believe that? Imagine putting an egg weight on the inside of your glove. It wouldn't fit anyway, but imagine doing that. There'll be one hell of a bulge in that glove now, wouldn't there? One hell of a bulge in there. And if he was to punch anybody with it, the only real damage that he's going to be doing is to his own damn knuckles. Correct? But anyway, they want to say that he actually had it in the palm of his glove. So not only did Tyson Fury, who must be an absolute genius, to somehow put this egg weight in without the Nevada State Athletic Commission seeing it, without the WBC seeing it, without Deontay Wilder's trainer-manager, JD's, seeing it, without when he got to the ring, when the referee checked both of his gloves, without the referee seeing it, without the fact that right after the fight, he had to get his gloves off and hand them straight over to the Nevada State Athletic Commission, who were there, who were watching the tape and everything being cut off and the gloves being pulled off, so they can take the gloves pretty much straight away. Somehow they managed to do that and slip the egg weight out without any of these guys seeing it. It's just defamation of character, isn't it? It's more stupidity than anything else. So would Tyson Fury sue Deontay Wilder for it? I don't know. I think if it was totally up to Frank Warren, he probably would. He does like to sue people. So maybe. So far, we haven't heard Tyson Fury make any kind of response. I have sent him and his team an email We'll have an exclusive or something like that on it. Will he respond? No, probably not. He'll probably go to IFL or behind the gloves or whatever it may be, and that's cool. But we don't really know what it is that Tyson Fury's plans are. We don't know. I mean, it's one thing to say, well, maybe Tyson Fury did this, or maybe Tyson Fury did that, but they're not saying maybe, they're saying he did do this. They are literally accusing him of criminal activity, aren't they? That's what they're doing. So I think Tyson Fury, and I'm not a lawyer, by the way, I'm no kind of law official or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure that Tyson Fury, if he wanted to, he could sue Wilder for a hell of a lot. And I don't think that Deontay Wilder could sue Tyson Fury, because as much as Deontay Wilder saying that this is what's happened, this is definitely what happened, there's no proof, is there? There's no proof. None whatsoever. But there's quite a few people who could sue Deontay Wilder. Team Fury could sue Wilder. The Nevada State Athletic Commission could sue Wilder because he's accusing them of negligence or being part of the conspiracy. Much like the referee could sue him too. Much like Mark Breland could sue him too. So not only has Deontay Wilder lost out on his last big payday, and it would have been his last big payday had the third fight have happened, because Fury would have decimated him again, and then Wilder would have been on a scrap heap, even more than what he already is. So all the kind of money that he's missed out on with his Anthony Joshua fight, even though he admitted that Joshua offered him more money and he chose less money for a so-called harder opponent in Tyson Fury, his own words. So not only whatever kind of money that he's made for these Tyson Fury fights, he can end up losing a whole chunk of that spread across Mark Breland, spread across the Nevada State Athletic Commission, spread across the referee, spread across Tyson Fury and his team. Do you really want to go down this route, Wilder, or do you want to retract a lot of the things that you've said? You want to threaten to sue Tyson Fury? I don't think those words should have come out of your mouth. Because maybe that's why Tyson Fury is being very quiet, because he's filing a lawsuit. You never know, do you? Anyway, drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe, catch you on the next video.